welcome to Real Estate Stories. I'm your host, Cody Cota. My co-host is with us today, Mr. Jake McClure. We got a special guest, Mollie Gatto, is with us. How are you, Mollie?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Good, good. Well, welcome to the show. So what brought you into real estate?
So I got my degree in event planning. When I was young, I went to OSU and got a degree in hotel restaurant administration. And I wanted to plan weddings and do special events. And I did that for a while. But the hours were terrible and the money was terrible and the emotions were high. It was a big deal if something went wrong and people would just freak out. And my dad sells real estate. And he doesn't really do residential. He does more farms and ranches and big pieces of land. But he said, real estate is similar. We've got terrible hours and you've got big emotional freakouts, but the money's quite a bit better. And turns out sales is sales. So if I could sell event space and catering, I could sell houses. So I got my real estate license.
Awesome. And how long have you been selling now?
Gosh, I probably almost 10 years. Yeah, if I did the math. Yeah.
And so you kind of had a unique story. We were talking a little bit about it before we started. So you came in as like an individual agent. Was that what your support was when you first started, or did you start working with a builder? Or?
So I got my real estate license, and then I realized very quickly that just because you get your license and you pass your test, that doesn't teach you how to sell real estate. Right. They don't teach you how to fill a contract out. They don't teach you how to get a listing agreement. They don't teach you how to go sell a house. And that's scary when you're 24. So my dad said, why don't you go work for a builder? They'll train you and, you can get some experience. And it turned out I loved it. And so I've continued to do that. And they did train me, and I do have a great support staff. And so I ended up at Four Corners, and I've got all their listings, which is such a blessing. We have an amazing team. I do not sell all of their homes by myself. I have help. We've got a great team that, sells a lot of houses, and we have great support staff in the office. So we've got a closing department, and we've got really, really good builders that, help me walk home sites and help me understand construction. And so it's really nice to have that team and that support.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So what do you think makes you successful in real estate?
I think that I am successful as a salesperson because I think I have the ability to make people feel comfortable. And I think if you can get people to feel comfortable with you and actually tell you why they're out shopping, why they're looking for a house, if you can get them to dump their purse and reveal the emotion behind it, you can help them much easier and much faster than if they just say, I need 4 bedrooms and 2 baths and a bonus room. Well, why? And if you can figure that out, you can get it wrapped up a lot quicker. So
finding their big why.
So let me ask you this. Have you experienced, what has been your experience with just regular, because I know or new construction can be a little bit different of an animal in terms of the client's expectations sometimes. Like, did you get a chance to experience kind of just the residential pre-existing houses?
I have.
Okay.
I don't love it. And I think it's because I've gotten so used to being the authority on the product that I'm selling. I know all the answers. And you walk into a resale home, and I've showed resale homes, and you don't know what you're going to walk into. I mean, you have an idea, but you don't know if it's going to be clean or dirty. You don't know what it's going to smell like. You don't know. I mean, they're going to ask you questions, and you don't know those answers. And I don't like that feeling. And it's nice with the new construction because I know the answers. I can tell them with authority, this is here, this is that, this is what kind of whatever this is, and that's a good feeling.
Yeah, and I think it helps if you're working with a good outfit, the builder stands behind their product and everything. Would you say kind of overall it's a smoother sales process with new construction? Are the clients more
I think
nitpicky, more demanding of things, or do you think it's just kind of easier?
I do. I think it is a smoother process. I mean, we don't have to worry about disclosures. We don't have to worry about, it's a brand new house. So you bypass a lot of that headache and renegotiation that happens, on a resale home kind of halfway through. And so we bypass a lot of that, and they've got a warranty, and it's just it's a lot. I feel like it's a lot easier in my opinion, but it's what I do all the time, so that could be why.
Okay, cool. What you've been doing it, you said, for 10 years now?
I think I've had my license for probably 9 years, really, if I did the math.
Almost a decade of real estate experience.
Do what?
So just about a decade of real estate experience.
Yes, just about, which makes me feel really old, but yes.
Okay, but full of knowledge, I imagine. So what advice would you give your past self if you could do the time machine thing and meet yourself as you just got your real estate license? What words of wisdom would you impart on yourself?
It's funny because sometimes I even look back and I want to go back and talk to myself even 6 months ago. I assume that this happens to everyone, but it does not matter how many houses I've sold. If I go too long without selling one, I start to think I'm never going to sell one ever again. I start to think that all those sales I've had in the past, that was just a fluke. That was just a market sale. I just got lucky.
Oh, really? Wow.
It doesn't matter how many hundreds of homes I sell. You panic a little bit. And so I think that's
that internal talk. Yeah.
True, yeah. So sometimes I still do it, and I want to look back a few months later and be like, just tell yourself to calm down.
No, I know what you're talking about. Thank you for sharing. I used to have like this thing when I would go to the house that we were closing on that day to pick up the sign and stuff back then. I'd always feel good when I was in that same neighborhood or in that same general vicinity, and I was actually dropping off a new sign. Like that was my goal, was, hey, every time I closed one that same day or earlier, I needed to be able to replenish that inventory. So I know what you're talking about.
You're always chasing that pipeline. It's an animal. You're just always after that, trying to keep that out ahead of you. So
I agree. How long did it take you to get your first closing?
probably about 6 months. That was a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly, but I know I went a while without having one. And so I think it was probably about 6 months.
About 6 months. Yeah. What did you have any like disillusions when you first got into the business? You'd mentioned earlier in terms of the training, like, hey, you went through real estate school, they didn't really prepare you to sell real estate. Was there any, other disillusions that you kind of uncovered from what you thought your expectations of what it was going to be from when you got in?
I think that I think it's easy to romanticize things, and you think that you're going to show people, big, beautiful homes, and they're going to be finished and they're going to be clean, and
Every day is gonna be like a House Hunters episode.
yes, and you're going to stay clean, and your shoes are not going to be ruined, and
Right.
it's not like, yeah, it's hard. You're out, trying to put signs in the ground and showing houses in the mud, and it's, my car's a disaster, and I'm talking on the phone on my Bluetooth while I try to read an email and eat a bag of chips while I'm flying down the road. And it's just
It's not as glamorous as it looks, kind of thing.
right.
I'm with you. Who's your inspiration and why?
I had that question that you guys shared with me beforehand to think about. And I don't know that I have one person that I inspire, that I'm necessarily inspired by, or that I aspire to be like. But I think I am inspired by certain traits in people. I was raised by a really smart mother, and so I mean that inspires me to, you know, really try to tackle things with some intelligence. I'm inspired by people that are real and genuine. I'm inspired by people that are kind. I think we all have some good stuff and we all have some bad stuff, and you have to pick out that good stuff in everybody to help, you know, inspire you to emulate that, and you know, just try to mirror that a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. I like that your mom had a big inspiration on you. Do you have kids yourself, or?
I don't.
Okay.
We have not done that yet. I'm busy, but maybe someday.
There's a season for everything in life. What's been your most embarrassing story that you'd like to share?
Gosh, you know, there's a lot. And you know, it's little things, but I was thinking about that. And I mean, I had a deal one time. I spent 2 days with this guy showing him houses. He was like in from out of town, and I think he decided to build one with us. And so we had to pick a plan, and we had to pick a lot, and we had to pick his options, and I had to price things for him. And we talked and we texted, and we sat down to write the contract, and I said, okay, Scott, remind me of your last name. And he said, well, my name's Bill. And I've been calling him Scott for 2 days.
Okay.
So that was pretty embarrassing. And I had a time when I told some people, we're gonna go look at these houses. It is just as muddy as it can be. You bring your mud boots or we will not be able to get into them. And I just stressed that up and down. And we all got there, and I had left my mud boots at home. And I showed that house barefoot.
Oh, wow.
Perfect.
Get in it.
How many agents can say that they showed a house barefoot?
The old Fred Flintstone showing.
I also one time could not get into a house. We'd driven out there it was like in a neighborhood that was out kind of in the middle of nowhere, and we'd driven out there, and I got out there, and for whatever reason my key didn't work and I couldn't get in, and I had a skirt and some high heels on, and I had to climb through the window, and I was like, can y'all turn around while I do this? And they did, and I hiked my skirt up and climbed through the window, so.
So it sounds like you need like an emergency clothes bag to just have on you.
I do, yes.
That would just solve all that, just like
All the
shoes.
accessories.
Yeah, some shorts.
If I would dress appropriately, like if I would wear appropriate footwear, and like if I would wear like maybe a little bit more sensible outfit, but I don't, I mean, that's not cute.
Yeah, that doesn't have any flair. So, you know, that's why, you know, just having a little gym bag with, you know, some stuff in it, and maybe like some emergency stuff, like some jumper cables and some other like emergency, I'm broken down on the side of the road, this is going to be a bad time, I don't want to be changing tires in a skirt bag.
There you go. I have figured out, I do carry now shoe covers, and they are not for protecting the house, they are for protecting my shoes.
There's also double as a mask right now, so you can just, you know, fold those around
or
your
a
ears.
hairnet.
Yeah,
if I need that.
dang. Yeah. Multi-use things. It's
there you go.
You know.
What about scary story, Molly? What's been like? Have you had any close calls, or just any time that you just kind of been freaked out, or?
You know, I've not ever had anybody really make me feel uncomfortable while I was showing a house. I did have a time when I showed up to a model home and the door was wide open and the alarm was going off, but there wasn't anybody in it. I think the scariest thing that ever happened, I was in Choctaw, out in a neighborhood out there that I'd sold a bunch of homes in, and I lived in Yukon at the time. And it was this time of year, and we had some bad storms, and they come across I-40. I mean, how they always do. Like, they cut up across through the state. And it was actually the day that those tornadoes hit the school in Moore. So I couldn't get home. I was stuck in Choctaw. and they were headed for us. And so I had to call a family that I had sold a house to. And I said, I know you have a storm shelter because I sold it to you. And I need in it. and they said, come on. I mean, you know, we were friendly and I got in their storm shelter with them. And it was after getting in there that I realized that it turns out I'm claustrophobic. And I didn't realize that until I was locked in.
That was your first time to discover that. Huh?
And I clawed my way out of it pretty quickly. And they were like, you need to stay in here. And I was like, nope, I'd rather die. So that was probably my scariest time.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's pretty nice that you had sold somebody in that same neighborhood a house and were able to.
See, I'd like to go out like Twister too. I'm not going to be in a storm cellar. I'm going to try to outrun the thing.
Right?
I feel like I could do it. Like, I just feel like my driving ability, I can get away. I don't know.
These are famous last words.
Right. It's on wax.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on wax now. So, you know, it's on record.
What about like a time that's been like stressful or just uncomfortable, maybe a closing or a particular client or just a situation that you want to share?
Oh, gosh. I think one of the hardest deals I ever did, and I bet Jenny Burns remembers it. She's still, I mean, we're still friends. And so this was probably one of the hardest deals I ever did. She had a client who was a veteran and he was in a wheelchair, and we had to completely remodel a home to make it wheelchair accessible for him. He was such a sweet guy, but it was so hard because, I mean, it was this huge remodel. And there was, I mean, some of it was expensive, you know, like going in, and we probably should have just built it one, but we remodeled one that we already had and widened things and made it accessible for him. And then it didn't appraise. And it was I was just stressed about it the whole time. And there was a time crunch. I mean, we had to get it done in time, and he had to move, and he was going to be homeless, and I was worried about him. And it was just, there was like everything went wrong. But it closed, and he lived in that neighborhood for a long time. And I mean, he was a sweet guy, and I still love Jenny. And so it worked, but it was hard.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. What's been a happy story, maybe something that's brought tears of joy?
So we had a family one time that called in, and they were a military family. They were in Korea, I believe, and they wanted to build a house, and they were going to be stationed here at Tinker, but they were in Korea. So we built them a house via Skype. I think this is maybe before there was Zoom. They picked out all of their finishes through Skype. I had to pick their lot for them, which was terrifying. I had to like Skype walk them through houses to help them pick a floor plan. And they were just the sweetest family. We would meet, I mean, the time difference was crazy. Like sometimes I'd be on the phone with them, and I mean, it'd be late at night and I'd be at home, or it would be a normal time for me and they'd be in their pajamas. And so anyway, the first time they saw the house is when, I mean, it was like 3 days before closing. Like they got to Oklahoma City and they loved it, and she cried and I cried because I'd gotten so attached to her, and it was cool.
They loved the house without ever really seeing it, and you walked her through the entire process. I mean, that could be a stressful process, home building by itself, let alone doing it from another country, and you got the time difference.
This coronavirus thing keeps popping off. That may become a regular thing.
Right? I know. We're much better equipped for it now.
Yeah, if we hit 18, it might hit 18 months of this, and, you know, who's to say what happens?
Sounds like you did an amazing job for them, though. They were happy with everything at the end, so good job. What's been maybe just your all-time favorite story in your decades worth of real estate experience? What would be your favorite story you'd want to impart to you?
There's just so many funny things that become like that become stories that I will retell other people that just need to hear it at the time. This is not my story. This did not happen to me, but I was on the receiving end of the phone call. And I think it is such a perfect example of some of our days in real estate. I was on the phone with one of my team members. I guess I won't share her name, but she was just having a terrible day. She called and she was upset. And you know what she seemed? She was actually pretty composed when I answered the phone. And then she just spiraled the longer she talked. And it was, these people just called me and they were so rude and it's not my fault. And such is gonna fall out and so is gonna fall out too. And that's the only deals I've written in a lot. I mean, she just got like progressively more hysterical. And then the last thing she said was, and I spilled tomato soup everywhere. And I go, what? And she was like, yes, I was in my office in my model and I was eating tomato soup and I spilled it all over everything and it's all over me and it's all over the floor and the carpet's ruined. I mean, it was just like
Not a meltdown, it sounds like.
Yeah. It was a meltdown. It was a meltdown. And I
Take it easy.
Haven't we all have days like that in real estate where it's just like, I can't deal with these people. I can't deal with these closings. There's tomato soup everywhere. And so now if anybody freaks out about anything, I have to tell them about the tomato soup. I mean, she is a great salesperson. We laugh about it now. I tell her, you know, she'll call me and I'll say, is it a tomato soup day? And she's like, yep.
Yeah, so, as agents, we all are aware of Murphy's Law. We all have those days that everything just kind of falls apart. That's a fun story. What's the best advice you've ever gotten in real estate?
So somebody told me one time, welcome to the exciting world of real estate where nobody gets exactly what they want. And I
it's like somebody we talked to the other day.
I mean, it's true. Because if you think about it, everyone has to compromise. I mean, the buyers have to compromise, the sellers have to compromise, the lenders compromise, sometimes the agents compromise on, you know, what we're listing for and what we're getting. I mean, like, it is a whole lot of people working together to compromise and get the deal done. And if you look at it that way, rather than everybody's so greedy, it's, I think, a lot easier to see it as a cool collaboration. Nobody's going to get exactly what they want, but we're all going to get this deal done and we're all going to go on and do another one.
Okay, yeah, I get that. When did Mollie know that she made it in real estate?
Probably when you called me to do this call.
You're funny.
Probably. You know, I don't know. Made it. That's a funny question. I will tell you when I knew that I had mastered my craft, because I am a good salesperson and not all real estate agents are, which is unfortunate, but I am a good salesperson and I've had a lot of sales training. And I went to a Jeff Shore conference, and he is a sales trainer, one of the best. And I spent, I think it was 4 days, getting Jeff Shore training. And he told me that I was in the top 1% of salespeople. And I think that was probably when I was like, I guess maybe I am good at this. So that was rewarding to have him tell me that, being who he is. So I think that was when I decided I had mastered my craft a little bit.
You mentioned earlier one of your abilities to make people feel comfortable in the deal. Like, how do you do that? Do you kind of break that down? Maybe it was something you picked up from that conference. Maybe it's just something innate that you have, or maybe somebody passed down to you. What is it that you think that how you're able to make people feel comfortable?
So I think you have to be able to relate to people. And if you can find something that you can talk about with them, and it can be anything, but if you can just find something that they want to talk about, that, I mean, people want to talk if you can just find something that they want to talk about. So I think that just connecting with people, but I also think, I think a lot of the time we try very hard to be professional, and I think that's important, but it can almost come across as insincere or maybe stuffy, or it's just not as relatable. And I try to look professional and act professional, but I try to keep my interactions with people very casual. Because if you're real, they'll be real back, and they'll dump their purse and tell you what's really going on. You know, when people walk in my office, instead of saying, hello, welcome to this neighborhood, Mollie Gatto, nice to meet you, I say, hey, what's going on, y'all? And they're like, oh, hey. And they tell me what's going on. It's none of my business, but they do, because I don't know. I think that people are prepared for me to try and sell them something. And if I act like I'm not going to, they relax a little bit.
Yeah, I think, I can see that. I think you established those rapport bridges quickly. I think you're also somebody that's really comfortable in who you are and what service and what you have to offer, which makes it very easy to convey that energy to have somebody else that walks into that model home. Hey, you're really comfortable. Naturally, that puts me at ease when you're comfortable talking to me. So, good job. How would you describe your personality?
Pretty silly, pretty outgoing, pretty hard to embarrass me. I don't know. I try to be kind. I try to be funny. I try to be smart, hashtag goals.
Good. What's an area maybe of your personality or where somebody else has described you a certain way, maybe a family member or a friend, that you don't really, agree with or see that?
Well, I've had friends and family accurately describe me as unorganized, and that's 100% true. So
Organized or unorganized? Sorry.
Unorganized. I am unorganized, and I have had people tell me that. So I would agree with that, though. I will tell you that and probably the older I get, the less it happens. I still think I'm almost 34, and so I still think I look pretty young. But I have found that I have, and I'm sorry to say this, boys, it's mostly men that I encounter that will just assume that I don't know what I'm talking about. And I think it's because a lot of the time it has to do with construction. Mm-hmm. And they just think like, well, she's cute, but I'm sure she doesn't know anything.
Right.
And that's a challenge because, I do know, but I also can probably walk through that house and listen to them telling their clients or their friends. Sometimes people just bring their Uncle Buck who used to build houses in the 80s.
That could be an extreme advantage too. If you subscribe to the devil's advocate, they'll never see it coming.
Right. So a lot of the time I'll let them sit there and talk and kind of stick their foot in their mouth, and then all of a sudden I'll explain to them the way things actually are, and they're usually surprised by that. So
that's kind of a construction culture thing. I used to work in commercial construction, doing fire alarm security systems in schools and churches and all types of stuff. It's just kind of the good old boy type of thing. They just assume women don't know what they're doing, but there's so many women electricians that be on these job sites who work harder and do a better job than most of the dude electricians that were on there. So it would be funny to see that dynamic and how that kind of evolves. But yeah, I assume you get it the worst because you're dressed up. And they think, oh, who's this chick coming on here? She doesn't know anything. But I'm sure it's a fun time to be a fly on the wall for those situations where you call them out.
Yeah. I also get a lot of men that I think just assume that they can intimidate me in a negotiation situation. And they cannot, but they will try, which I always think is amusing. So.
Yeah, I agree with all that. What is what's something that most people don't know about you?
Oh, well, the people that know me probably know this stuff, but y'all don't. I am a really good cook. We do Thanksgiving and Christmas at our house, and I baked my wedding cakes. I'm a really good cook.
You baked your wedding cake, or did you say you baked wedding
Did.
cakes?
And I baked
Baked
the
your
wedding
wedding
cakes for my husband's cousin as well. Yeah, so I cook a lot of really good Italian food for my husband's Italian family, and so I'm a really good cook, and I'm also a really good gardener. I grow a lot of stuff and work in the yard, and so I'm kind of like part 50s housewife, part modern woman.
That's awesome. She's really well balanced. Jake, did you have any other questions?
Yeah, you mentioned you've been in real estate 10 years. Did you do any type of sales previous to getting into real estate that kind of geared you in?
So I was in special events before. That's what I got my degree to do, it was event planning. And so it turns out that was sales. And that was probably just Jesus putting me where I was supposed to be, because I mean, I didn't realize that I was a salesperson, but I was. And I was selling event space, and I was selling catering, and I was selling the vision of something that wasn't there. And so that was a sales job, and I didn't know it was. And once I went from that to selling homes, it was the same thing. It was selling the vision of something that could be. It was just a different product. So.
Isn't it awesome how God prepares us a lot of times for what's to come ahead? It's pretty cool.
And he makes plans, and he laughs at us, and
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the hardest part about that transition from going to selling event space to selling $200 and up $1,000?
Yeah. I think the scariest thing in real estate is the way we get paid. Believing in yourself enough to trust that you are going to be able to sell something and close something and get paid on it. Because if I don't, I eat what I kill, and if I don't sell something, I don't get paid. In fact, even if I sell it, if it doesn't close, I don't get paid. And that's scary, especially when you're young and you don't have anything saved up, and you're, kind of paycheck to paycheck. Like, switch over and believe in yourself enough to do that. I think that's probably the hardest part of getting into real estate. And I tell anybody that that's new starting out, like, just don't panic. Like, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna sell houses. You're gonna make a lot of money, but just hang in there, because it's scary in the beginning.
What's that feeling like, though, whenever you do close on stuff, or you establish, hey, I can provide for my family this way, and just not having to be, a W-2 job somewhere, or whatever it was.
Right.
What is that for you? Like, what is that feeling?
It's great. I think my husband has a great job and takes great care of me. But I think that I love knowing that if he spontaneously combusted, if something terrible happened to him, I could pay the bills. I could take care of things. And that's a good feeling, because I think that sometimes, especially with women, you don't always have that. You're a little bit reliant on your husband, and you're home, and you're taking care of the kids, which is harder than what I do. But there's a fear there that, like, well, what would happen if something happened to him? And it just feels good to know that I've got this. So that's a good feeling.
So let's say somehow Zillow buys us all out of the industry and eliminates us all as real estate agents. What would you do if not real estate?
I don't know. It would be sales, because I'm a salesperson. And it was funny. I said I was a really good cook. I saw a a Benny Keith truck driving around. This was before all the restaurants shut down, by the way. But I saw that Benny Keith truck, and they sell food to restaurants.
Right.
And I thought, I wonder if I'd be good at that, because I'm a good salesperson and I have a hotel restaurant degree and I'm a really good cook, so I understand food really well.
Oh, that's good money.
So
Working for like U.S. Food Service at Benny Keith, being a restaurant rep. I had a restaurant briefly in Yukon that failed epically, but
which one was it?
Ranchwood Grill. It was on Ranchwood and Vandermint, right across from the new high school. We took over a donut shop, turned it into a burger place. That failed, and now it is again a donut place. So that's cool. And right next to it, there was a burger place for a period of time that like opened up where the cigarette shop used to be. It was like a Backyard Burgers copy or something. And the Little Caesars was on the other side of that, and they moved and built their own building. And I'm real sad about it, and I'm bitter towards Yukon, to keep it real, because it just didn't come. I advertised everywhere. People just didn't come.
It's hard. Starting a restaurant is the hardest thing.
Right. And Ranchwood was under construction for a cool 3 years, and we had the restaurant dead in the middle of that. Right. And it was supposed to be done like 6 months after we got the place. Chamber of Commerce was like, yeah, it's going to be wrapped up. The school's going to open up. Just hang on. And then they were like, oh, and like a month before the school opens up, they were like, yeah, and they'd been telling us the whole time, it's going to be open campus. Y'all going to get so much business. They closed campus for the first year. And then they opened campus the year after that. So thanks, Yukon.
You are better. I can tell.
Oh yeah, hard.
And nobody can take that experience away. Right?
No, yeah, and that was
that built character.
23, 24. That's the failure that I hit, and they would rather go to Fat Elvis and get. No, I'm not gonna bomb that place.
Yeah, it's not a loss if it's a learn.
But you're right. It's not. I don't know if the health department's been there in years. I know.
Oh, that's close. They're way close. They're close.
Right?
They're done. Ooh, yeah, I've got a lot of dirt on that, but that's not my business anymore. I'm in real estate, so if anybody wants to buy or sell, invest in real estate.
I have had people tell me like, oh, you should open a restaurant. And my husband and I have even looked at like buying a franchise, I mean, like we've looked into that, and
Subway's the cheapest. That's a good one.
That's, it is such hard work. You can't pay people enough to care, and the margins are so slim. I mean, it is hard. And I love food and I love wine, and I don't want to take it and twist it into something that I don't like anymore.
A food truck would be just having a quick food truck that you can do on weekends, or just pull up to Blue Garden and just have a weekend restaurant, basically. That's cool. I could probably do that, but I wouldn't be a part of it like directly ever. Because here's the deal. While my customer service from a sales perspective is very good, like I really care about my clients. When I had the restaurant, I knew the food was good. So what? You have something to complain about? I don't care. If the food's good, I know it is. Like I don't oh, you're sad about it? Get out. What? I know it's good. I'm a taste setter. I know it's good.
That should be on your sign. The food's good. We know it's good. You like it or not.
I already know it's good. So.
and that probably played into the restaurant failing, because just my overall thought process around it was negative. So that's why today I would just place people there that are good at customer service and hospitality services, which I'm not, it turns out.
Okay. Wrapping up here, no, we're running short here on time. Last two questions for you. Let's say you had to sell your personal residence, and you were, hypothetical here, not an agent, and you couldn't select anybody within your company, or you're on your team, essentially. You couldn't hire me or Jay. You want to do that. What agent would you want to hire to sell your house?
So there's a guy that he actually, my dad had known him many, many moons ago. And so when I first got my license, he said, you know, you need to talk to Shelby. And it was Shelby Cummings. He's with Keller Williams. And I think I probably learned a lot about Shelby because he and I work similarly. I mean, he's real with people. And I mean, he will tell you what's up and he means it. And like, I mean, if he tells you like, no, it's not going to bring that, but we could sell it for this. And I mean, we need to, I mean, he'll shoot you straight. And I appreciate that in people. And he's just comfortable and easy, but he's professional and he gets it done and he sells a lot of real estate. So I love that about him. I love that realness, because I mean, that's kind of how I operate. So I'm comfortable in that. And I would probably have him do it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. What's something that's unique about you, and with all the agents that are out there, what makes Mollie unique?
Well, we've talked a lot about that. I mean, I have the vast majority of my experience is new construction. So it's not that I don't want to go sell a resale home, but I do know a lot about construction. That is probably rare, for me to be able to walk a house that's at frame and answer questions and, know if something's right or if it's wrong and know how it's going to be fixed. And so I think that's probably something that you wouldn't guess by looking at me. Well, and I also, I'm also Martha Stewart. So, I mean, that's, I'm going to like grow all the flowers and cook all the foods. And so that's probably
That's awesome. Okay. Well, I really enjoyed having you on. Where can the viewers and people connect with you?
I am not, I don't know if anybody tried to find me. I am not on social media. Probably a little bit to my detriment, but I've got to tell you, it lights up my life. I love not being on Facebook and not being on Instagram. And it's just lovely not to be connected all the time. So people can email me, people can call me, people can find me at Four Corners. If they call the Four Corners sales line, I'm carrying it around, I'll answer it. But I love not being accessible all the time on social media. I know that sounds weird nowadays, but.
Yeah, because that's part of what I do is I go in and look at people on their social media and find out about them to ask off the cuff questions. And you don't exist apparently. So
I don't exist. Isn't that fun?
I was like, what in the hell? Like, she's got to have a private account or something.
Just a real person. Mollie, a real person.
Yeah.
I have people that will call me. So it was a friend of a friend. He wanted to send flowers, and he was trying to get our other friends, like, get a hold of me to say, like, where will they be? What will they be doing? Where can I send these flowers? And he actually had to call our office. He had to call the Four Corners office because he could not find me on social media. And he said, I really didn't think that you were real. I thought I didn't think you existed. You were a fake make-believe person. So it's gotten to where it's almost kind of a novelty that I'm not on social media.
Funny.
It's lovely. It's great. I love it. You should try it.
You're actually someone in India that just has a great American accent. Just
I'm a catfish. Like, you don't even know.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Mollie. I enjoyed it. I know Jake did, and our viewers will. So appreciate your time, and we'll catch everybody next time.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Thank you.